Chapter 2 is titled Managing GIS Data. GIS data is different than most computer data. GIS files are often very large. They are usually shared by multiple users. Some GIS data is constructed of several source files. It's a good idea to use folders to organize your GIS data. When creating GIS data, always note where the data is being saved and give the dataset a file name that will help you identify it in the future. The default folder names and file names are usually not what you want to use. It's recommended to store GIS data on your root drive or C drive. However, we will use your OneDrive library so we can access the data from any PC connected to the Internet. You will want to develop an organization system and use it. Again, don't use spaces and special characters in your folders or file names. We've saw this before, but I can't stress it enough. Do not use spaces and special characters in your file names or folder names. You should recognize many file types by their extensions, the last few letters after the period. DOC, DOCX, XLS, XLSX, MXD, JPG, PNG, DWG. Those are all some file extensions that you should recognize. Finding GIS data requires some effort. There's plenty of GIS data out there. Most states will have a clearinghouse or site that manages their GIS data. You will want to really examine the data to make sure that it meets your needs. Here's an example from geo.data.gov. Notice some of the data might not be spatial data. CSV files are what we call standalone tables and must be joined to spatial data to create thematic maps. Use these tips when searching online. Here's the results from a sample search. You should spend some time looking at these clearinghouses. When you find a good one, make some notes so that you'll be able to visit that site again in the future to find suitable data. Keep track with where what works well for you. When looking at GIS data online, most sites all work differently, so you have to experiment, and oftentimes you may need to read through tutorials or help files to learn how to search for and download the files that you need. It's common practice for GIS files to be compressed or zipped. You should recognize compressed files by their .zip extension. Compressed files must be extracted before you can use them in the GIS. Windows can handle common zip files, but there are others that require special applications like 7-zip. The amount of available data will oftentimes depend on the type of data and the scale that you need for your project. I want you to think of metadata as data about GIS data. This important information should help you determine if the data set is suitable for your projects. In some cases, the metadata might be separate files. You should download the metadata and store with the GIS data. Metadata can be shown using different styles or formats. The default method gives you only very basic data. You can change the metadata style using the ARC catalog options in the metadata tab. You should always keep the metadata updated if you change the GIS data. Next, we'll spend some time exploring the map document. The map document uses links to collections of GIS data stored in data frames. Data frames can be arranged and printed to create maps. The same GIS data is often used in many map documents where it can be displayed differently. The map document only stores links to the GIS data. You can't send someone a map document and expect it to work because the links to the GIS data will be broken. Those links are also broken if you move or rename the data files. You can view the source or path to the GIS data by using the Source tab in the Layers Properties dialog box or the Source view of the table of contents. Map documents store the links to GIS data using absolute or relative path names. Absolute paths always start at the root drive or at the top of the data tree. Relative paths start at the location where the map document is saved. Users need to be able to recognize and repair broken data links. They appear as red exclamation marks. You can right-click the broken link and select Data, Repair Data, or use the Set Data Source button in the Source tab of the Layers Properties dialog box. It's your decision when to use absolute or relative path names. I recommend using relative path names due to our using OneDrive to save our work. However, the default method is absolute, so you must change it in the ArcMap options. When files are in use, they are often locked to prevent multiple users from working on the same files. Sometimes these locks get jacked up and you need to save and close ArcMap to remove the locks. If you have some stubborn locks, you may need to reboot your computer as a last resort. If you have any questions, please send me an email or give me a call. Thank you.